Seth Rollins injured on Raw last night, plus a top NXT star seems to be out of action indefinitely, and WWE are getting a production makeover. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now.
Slay.
Last night, Seth Rollins hindered Jinder in his attempts to become a two-time champion of the world in the WWE. Oh, there was a moment. Where I thought they're going to do it.
Inder's share get involved, and then all of a sudden there's a shoot collapse for a near two fall. I was nearly off my seat on the floor, but it was a good and a bad night for Seth Rollins. Yes, he retained his title because wrestling's real, and I'm talking about it like it's real, but also it looks like he's hurt his knee quite severely.
Yeah, so after the match, Seth was sat on the canvas for a bit. He kind of does this hand gesture to the ref as well.
Sick, yo. What a sick match, yo.
I think it was either what a sick match, yo, or I think I'm done.
Yeah.
As he stood up, he was clearly favouring the one leg. PW Torch has revealed that Seth Rollins suffered a legitimate leg injury during that match with Jinder Mahal. Multiple sources at PW Torch were backstage at Raw. They say he was helped to the back, and whilst he was backstage, he was being carried around and very much favouring that one leg. He eventually was able to put some weight on it by the sort of about an hour or so later, but clearly has a definitive limp.
Yeah, it wasn't clear in the match where it happened, but just watching the match, he does this lion salt, like a Chris Jericho lion salt off the middle rope back into the ring, and he sort of lands knees first on Jinder, then he's a bit like, meh. Then a few seconds later he does a pedigree on his knees again, and then he's a bit more like, meh. So it happened around about that portion of the match, I think, but it just makes you think back to WrestleMania 32 season. Obviously, we're a bit further on the road to WrestleMania than we were on that one. I think that was November where he did his knee against Kane at that live event in Ireland, and he missed the WrestleMania. That was my first thought when I saw this morning. Just he might miss another WrestleMania. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Obviously, full and speedy recovery for Seth Rollins. Hopefully, it's nothing more than just a ding, and he can take some time away. I'd rest him now. I'm too nervous.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't need to defend the title at the Rumble.
Roman doesn't either. I know he wants to be the workhorse champion, all that sort of stuff, but when there's a WrestleMania match with the one like Punk in the offing, just have them cut promos.
That's fine.
Pre-recorded fights backstage where they can just use pillows and whatnot, but disguise them as lead pipes. You know how it works in wrestling.
We'll send our best to Seth Rollins' full recovery, and we're sending our best to Cora Jade today as well. Over the weekend on NXT's Coconut Loop, her match with Lyra Valkyria was stopped, and there was some concern about her well-being. PW Insider give us an update.
Yeah, they're saying Cora Jade is believed to have suffered a knee injury over the weekend at the NXT house show in Dade City, or Dade City, as I hope it's pronounced, Florida, while wrestling Lyra Valkyria. We've heard either a meniscus or ACL tear, but don't have that 100% confirmed at this time. But there was an update, Tim.
Well, Dave Meltzer says that it was an ACL tear as opposed to a meniscus tear. I was kind of hoping out of the two it would be a meniscus tear. With a meniscus tear, you can kind of get back on the road to recovery and be possibly back in the ring within 6 weeks. Obviously, an ACL tear has been known to write wrestlers off for a full year. In a good wind, maybe 6 to 9 months. It's the thing that Charlotte Flair has suffered, and she's out of action till possibly autumn of this year at the earliest. And this is a rough break for Cora Jade, who's not long been back from a prolonged absence from TV.
Yeah, she had 4 months off last year for one reason or another, and now she's got another lengthy period on the sidelines. It looks like it's a shame because it's obviously someone that NXT have a lot of stock in. Whenever she's fit and available, she's in there and she's cutting promos, and she's involved in sort of like one of the bigger sort of lady storylines on the shows each and every time she is available, and now she's had another setback, so it's a harsh one. She's young though, that she's got that on her side, so she'll bounce back. It'll be just a little and then she'll be back in 2 weeks.
Shake it off and crack on. Best wishes to Cora Jade. Have you ever wondered, Ross, how cage match works?
Every time, Tom. Every single time I log on, I just look at it and think, wow, that's so big. Oh my God, that's so big. Who does it? How can they put it together?
Don't clip that and use it for evil purposes, whatever you do. Now, when it comes to cage match, I was fascinated as well. So I had a lovely chat last night with Flosh. Flosh hosts the Cage Cast, which which is the Cage Match podcast. And he is the 5th longest tenured member of CageMatch.net. He and a team of 40 people maintain that website. 40 people.
40 people put all that together.
I know, right? Isn't it incredible?
It is, yes.
But I had a big deep dive about how it's put together, like the database they use. Some wonderful stories about how Cage Match has got people in trouble.
Well, it has recently, hasn't it? With
very recently, with
know who?
We also talk like how does Tony Khan bringing you up? How does that affect what you guys do? And his answer's really interesting. You can hear it on the Cultaholic podcast feed right now. It's waiting for you, as is the brand new Cultaholic Wrestling News podcast feed as well, where you get your wrestling update in 10 minutes every weekday morning. Meanwhile, over the weekend, you may have missed this one. Ross and I and Jack, we went through the biggest matches in Royal Rumble history.
Yes, it was Eliminator Tournament Knockout Formula. So basically we have 2 matches. Some were seeded matches, the ones at the top of Cage Match rankings. I think that's how Jack did it, against some wild cards. And we find out what was the best Rumble match in Rumble pay-per-view history, whether it be a 30-man or a 40-man over the top rope spectacular, or a title match or whatever that was on the card.
It was quite the discussion. We go on for about an hour. It's waiting for you on the YouTube channel right now. Back to Raw for the final story. And did somebody say makeover?
Slay, Raw, slay.
Slay, Raw, slay. New look Raw set.
Yeah, it came out, got leaked by the lovely people inside the arena last night. It's just basically, we've got away with one massive LED screen. Now we've got sort of 3 with a nice little bit of gnarly sort of like scaffolding holding them up in the middle. It's a bit more gritty, but it's still LED screens nonetheless.
It's a nice little throwback to the old Raw as well set, which is all scaffolding and stuff like that. I do like it. And I imagine because it's 3 screens, you can probably be a bit more creative with how you use it rather than one big screen. We'll wait and see, won't we?
Or maybe you could have just split the big screen into 3 parts.
You could have done, actually.
I
could have saved some. Maybe logistically it's
maybe
easier.
they start dancing. Just 2 screens go like that way. The middle one goes forwards, and they start doing like a nice little. You know what I mean?
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, lovely.
Did you notice as well that Raw and SmackDown has felt a little bit more NXT-ish lately?
100% in the little promo packages. Whatever person was putting together the character building NXT promo packages, where we've got like what was her face? We're going down to the jungle gym in the forest with Nikita Lyons and whoever it was back in the day. Whoever's been putting those together over the past couple of years is now definitely on the main roster.
Well, that person is Jeremy Borash. So, Fightful Select reported that Triple H has allowed Jeremy Borash to assemble a team in NXT to create these video packages that you and I and Ross love on NXT.
Yes.
And he said, we'll go there and do that safely under Kevin Dunn's radar. So, like, don't tell him you're making it. Just make it. He won't notice. Triple H, according to Fightful Select, was said to have been happy with how they have played out. And with Dunn's departure, there is a door open to feature that style of promo across all WWE shows.
Now, I love NXT, but some of these promo packages are very hit and miss. Some of them are, yes, this is a definite wrestling character that can work in the modern day. Some of these are like, what are we doing here? This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
But I like that, though. Like,
you go back to the 90s, Tom. It was full of goodness and it was full of crapness, and the crapness is what made you come back for more.
Always be someone's shot of whiskey rather than everyone's cup of tea. Seriously. Because it's so much better to have something that resonates, whether you really passionately love it or passionately hate it, rather than something that's just, it's there. You know?
Let's go to backstage promo and say this is my era, like every other wrestler does ever. Or we'll have a wacky promo package where you just either cringe or laugh or cry.
I would prefer that over what would normally happen around this time of year, which is all these promos going, I'm going to throw 29 people over the top roof.
Point at the sign in the sky.
Point at the sign in the sky. Fightful Select go on to say that several people spoken to backstage have spoke very highly of the new process and the freedom to do them. One source noted that under Dunn, the segment would have likely cut away to several different things. But the new method was to let the characters breathe and let the segment play out. What a concept.
That is the biggest strong point of these promo packages. They are just very much character driven, which is what wrestling by and large is all about, is it not?
It's the best
characters
wrestling
that resonate with the viewing audience.
And that's what it's all about, that and the okie dokie. We'll have more wrestling news for you throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe.
Slay.
Slay.